Hey, sorry for the delay, guys. Was trying to get things set up and then nearly had a disaster with my coffee. That is unforgivable. Okay. So, guys, I hope you're doing well. We are officially now in AP testing season. So, those of you who are testing today or later this week, the best of luck to you. Let me know if you're having any difficulty with the demo or you need further explanation as to how the exams are actually going to carry out. Whew. Okay. There we go. All right. So who have I got out there on this wonderful Monday morning, which has already been punctuated with an awful lot of emails, which I was kind of expecting. So just a reminder, let's see here. I need to put up my little whiteboard thing. Just a reminder, today is the final day I will be accepting grades from my AP Comparative Government and Politics kids. Okay. So today is going to be the last day when you can do grades and turn them in and still have them graded. Okay. They need to be in by 5 p.m. this afternoon. You have a assessment that I've gone ahead and put up on the blog if you want one more good assessment to try and get that grade up and over where you want it to go. And an honors world. Today you are doing all of World War I. It's rough right now. We're working on it. All right. So there we go. So AP Comp, you're doing your Unit 7 assessment today. Honors World, you're working your way through World War I. It's a lot. I know it is. But needs must. So those of you who still need, to push that grade up and over, this is an assessment this is an assignment you need to do. Comparative Gov folk, you need to log on to my AP and take that assessment for me. I will say that if you're looking to move your grades fast, the answer is always fill the zeros. Okay, that's always the way that you feel like that's the way you get things done fastest. And then beyond that, it's take the unit assessments. If you have to prioritize the digital learning assignments, first way to do that is to take your unit assessments. What you do have to remember, of course, is that your unit assessments are not going to go particularly well if you haven't done the other work for them. Okay. So do take that into consideration because I anticipate getting quite a few panicked emails in, like about 7 hours. I will, however, be sending out an email to all my seniors and senior parents, basically requesting sort of radio silence for the next couple of days while I finish up your grades. All right. So once 5 p.m. hits, I'm going to send out a note saying basically that's it. We're done. And I'm going to ask that you not email me with questions about your grade at that point. I'm going to open it back up for questions at about on, I think, probably May 13th, which is that Thursday? No, Wednesday. So I should have everything ready and done by May 13th, at which point I'll ask you to go back into Synergy, double check, let me know if there are any irregularities, anything you see that I'm missing, and then I'll handle it, okay? But in order for me to finish this with something of my sanity still intact, at least some part of it, I am going to ask that you guys kind of hold off on the frantic I have an 89. What's going to happen to my grade emails, because those get real old real fast. Yeah. Okay. Um, Other than that, man, it's been a pleasure teaching you. I wish this weren't the way the year were ending for us, but if wishes were horses, thieves would ride. So wishing doesn't really matter. It is what it is, que sera, sera. And that means that we got to roll with it. So it has been a pleasure teaching you guys. And I hope to see you all relatively soon. I know that we're planning a car vacation. Not a car vacation. That would be amazing. A car vocation for the Magnet seniors. So watch for that. And sophomores, you know where I am next year. Whatever the school year looks like next year, you know I'm in 312 and I'd love to see you. So, all that being said, what should I draw today? Any suggestions? There are several of you watching, so clearly, there are people who have things to say. Maybe not. Maybe this is just the quiet group. Well, if you will not give me suggestions as to what I should draw, then I shall have to seek to gratify myself, which means I need to think about what sort of thing I want to draw. So on Thursday, I drew a velociraptor. And on Friday, I didn't draw because I was way too busy grading FRQs. And didn't grade, I was too busy grading on Saturday to draw. And yesterday, I drew flowers for my mom for Mother's Day. And I'm not sure what I should draw next. I'm looking back to see what some folks have suggested that I draw. Otherwise, I'm going to have to jump into some other stuff. Dr. K wants me to draw penguins. I've never drawn a penguin. Not entirely convinced I can draw a penguin. Good morning, Valencia. What is a car vocation? Car convocation? It is something that I believe that Mr. Ald and the foundation are working on. I don't know all the details right now, but I believe that we're going to try to have some sort of celebration for y'all. I just know that there's something in the works. That's all I know. I am not in on the planning. I have too many things to do beyond being on yet another Zoom call. How are you, Valencia? Are you doing well? I hope you are. Okay. Whew. Valencia, do you have any suggestions as to what I should draw? Oh, by the way, honey, I got your senior like thingy, not ad, announcement, whatever it is we're calling it. And I will send it into admin later on today. Okay? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Let us see here. Could try the Mars Curiosity rover. Do you like space? Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. We'll try drawing the Mars Curiosity rover. Let's see here if I can get a good picture of it. Okay. That's a pretty cool shot. Okay. We are going to try drawing the Curiosity rover. It's going to be disastrous, but we're going to try it anyway. Can I download this? Yeah. Okay. And now we cheat by turning it grayscale. Oh, there we go. All right. Here's what we're going to go for. It's going to be disastrous, but we're going to try. I'm always in favor of Mars robots. So I have a good friend of mine who we were in the same sense. It's very dorky, but I'm not. I'm very, very fond of her. We were in Girl Scouts together all through middle and high school, and she went to Agnes Scott and got a degree in astrobiology, which is a thing. Did not know that is definitely a thing. And she went to work for NASA, largely in their education area. Her area of expertise was sort of like science outreach and STEM education. And now she teaches. She teaches in Los Angeles, and she is super awesome. But she is also applying to be an astronaut. I am super jealous. Not that I want to be an astronaut, because I'd be really bad at it, but people at NASA are super cool, and I'm very jealous. Her husband works at the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And so she gets to take her kids there on field trips on a regular basis. And I'm like, that is pretty cool. I'm very jealous about that. Okay. So this is going to be horrific to anybody who actually knows how the rover functions. But we're just going for shape. So it looks like there are 6 wheels on this baby. Okay. 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 All right. Hmm. This needs to go further down that way. That's why it looks funky. It's like, why? Angles are hard on circles, or rather, not circles, I guess, but like barrel shape. We'll figure it out. Well, I think we see precisely why I am not an engineer. Oh, my goodness. Lots of bits and bobs here. It's starting to look like a rover. That, or a very complicated spider. One or the other. Okay, that is the outline of the Mars Curiosity rover. Now we try to make it look like it. This could be a terrible, terrible adventure. We're going to try. Now, the problem is the pen that I normally use to black out stuff is starting to die on me, and I need to go and replace it, but I don't really. It's not a need, it's a want. And I'm trying to be very, very careful about that stuff right now. And just being very, very clear about my sort of ethical choices here. Yeah, I can order another one. Does me ordering another one just because I want to draw something, does that put somebody else at risk? And if the answer is yes, then maybe I need to think about that again. So I'm trying really hard to think about what I'm asking other people to do for me, and whether or not that's something I can live with. And if the answer is no, I really do need it and I'm willing to go out and get it myself, and that's a slightly different answer than just I want it and so I'm going to have Amazon ship it to me. So I am trying very carefully to think about what I'm doing and why. I know that's not something that everybody can do, and I understand that. It's not something I expect everybody to do, but if I can, I think I should. Besides, if I were able to, I'd much prefer to buy from a local small art shop, but I'm not sure that I can find any that are open around me right now. Okay, slowly working on blacking out the bits that are darkest in the image, because this is how I tend to see things, is in bits and pieces. I'm trying to block out the stuff that's mostly meant to be negative space. Okay. The problem with this image is there are a heck of a lot of shadows, and I'm not real great with shadows. But we shall try. I may have to go in search of another blackout pen. I mean, in my drawer. I'm sure I have another one somewhere. Yeah, that's dying on me pretty fast. Let's see here. Let's too thin to do what I really want to do, but we'll give it a shot. The angle should really be sharper. There we go. Okay. 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 This one's a tough one. May have a hard time finishing this in the time for office hours. I usually kind of set it as my limit. I get an hour and a half to talk to you guys and answer any questions you have and to draw. The drawing is just kind of fun for me. But it also means that I get to kind of relax a little bit, which is always nice. But this one might take more than my allotted time. I feel like that needs to come out more like that. That's a little better. Still is striking me as a bit flat. Here's progress so far. Not much. Slow and methodical. That's what this one is. This one is just slow work. Okay. Okay, now to work on the camera. Okay. slowly making progress. It's starting to look like the rover a little bit more. Slowly but surely. Okay, now we get to start adding in a little bit more detail. Okay. Okay. It's a little bit more. Now I've got to kind of lighten, or rather fade that out a little bit. Okay. Here we go. That's a little better. Okay. Actually, okay. Okay. It's a little better. That rim needs to be a little bit darker. Okay. Hey, Kamaya, how are you, honey? What are you up to today? It's your last day of official work for me. What have you been up to this weekend? I hope you and your family had a good weekend. I hope you got to see your mom. I know you said you were going to, maybe. Is that correct, or am I hallucinating? It is entirely possible that I'm hallucinating. Oh, you're at your mom's house. Oh, good. Wonderful. I'm glad you got to see her. I hope everybody is doing well. Your stepmom threw a mock graduation? Oh, how lovely. That's so nice. Well, it sounds like you had a good weekend. I bet it was. Did they play like Pomp and Circumstance for you? Da 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 da. Yeah. So your stepsister is going to be a nurse? It's a heck of a time to get into that profession. It's desperately needed, but gosh, they played Pomp and Circumstance. I'm glad. I'm glad they gave you the full thing. If they were gonna really do it, they should make you sit in an uncomfortable chair for like half an hour before they call your name, and then you have to go back down and sit there for another half hour or maybe like a full hour while people say a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. Oh my goodness, she's gonna be an ICU nurse. Well, hats off, man. That is some serious work. And like, gosh, please tell her I wish her the very, very best and that I hope she stays safe and that she finds a job quickly if she hasn't already. That is one thing that sucks right now for a lot of people graduating college. Job market fell out just when they needed it. But having been through that myself, because I got my teaching certificate right when the recession hit, which let me tell you was great fun. Just, if she's looking, although, being in healthcare might be a little bit different, but tell her if she's looking, just keep a spreadsheet, keep it up, and just apply, 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 apply. How was my weekend? My weekend was pretty good. I went over and saw my parents yesterday for a little bit. Didn't get to give my mom a hug because we're trying really, really, really hard to make sure that she's good and healthy and that we don't risk anything. And since I'd been at the handout for graduation gowns and everything, we're acting like I'm an asymptomatic carrier right now. So, until we're sure, that's kind of our rule. So, as much as I love seeing you guys, and I do love seeing you guys, and I'm not sorry that I went, I just have to be very, very careful because my parents are getting up there, and I don't want to risk it. So, yeah. So at any rate, no, I didn't get to give her a hug, but I did get to go see her and give her her presents and everything. And I got a lot of grading done for you guys. My eyes hurt, but the bulk of it is in at this point. I really only have to go back and add in today's assignment and clean up any late ads basically at this point. So most of you guys have been pretty good, but I am anticipating getting some last minute, oh my gosh, what can I do with my grades sort of issues. always happens. Yeah, you worked your butt off for that, and I'm very proud of you. Very good. Let's see here. Today, I decided that I was going to draw the Curiosity rover on Mars. Here it is so far. It is slow going because it's really detailed. I am slightly regretting my choice. But I was feeling slightly spacey. I've been watching a lot of like Mandalorian stuff because I like Baby Yoda and also I like Pedro Pascal. I've been watching a lot of that this weekend while I was grading because I've already seen it, so I don't have to like pay attention to it. It's just noise on in the background while I finish stuff. Like I can't watch new stuff and grade at the same time. That is not a thing I can do. If I do that, somebody's grade is going to get screwed up. So I can't risk it. So I've been watching a lot of space stuff recently. I have a good friend of mine whose husband works in the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Lab, that does a lot of stuff for NASA. Um, like they, build the rovers and everything like that. And she used to work for NASA, actually. That's how they met. She used to work for NASA in their educational outreach programs. She's super awesome, really, really brilliant lady. And she is currently applying to be an astronaut. I keep saying, "Are you sure? You sure?" She was like, "No, I want Mars. I want to go." It's like, you have a child. You realize that's a one-way ticket. She's like, I know. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if that's what you do when your child is really bad. You're like, I'm going to Mars and I'm never coming back. Or if it's a matter of like making the argument that it's for the greater good of all of humanity, therefore, like sacrifices have to be made. Dunno. But she has always desperately wanted to go to Mars. That is like the defining thing about her is that she is super into space and really wants to go to Mars. I don't know that she's like astronauts don't have to be really tall, but they do have to be able to like this sounds weird. They have to be able to fit the scale of the like of the space station and everything because when they were initially constructing stuff, they primarily were constructing it for men. And that means that the technologies and everything are kind of built with the assumption that people will be a certain height. And she's kind of short. So I don't know that she'll make the short list of astronaut training school. But I am supportive of her dream because it'd be super cool to have a friend on Mars. Yeah, she did when she worked for NASA, she primarily did like science outreach stuff for them. And now she teaches and her degree is in astrobiology, which is a thing. I always love that. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know that that was a thing, but it is. Yeah, so her degree is in astrobiology. And she is really brilliant. And whenever she teaches, so she takes her kids on field trips. They live in Los Angeles. She takes her kids to field trips to JPL every year, the Jet Propulsion Labs. And obviously, they can't go into like the secure areas, but they go into a lot of the other ones. So they get to go and see, like, will I have office hours until Friday? Yes, I will. I will have office hours, so you can jump in. In fact, I'm trying to decide if I want to go ahead and have office hours until the 21st, because we, those students who are taking the AP exam may need to ask questions or something like that. So I'm trying to decide what my plan is with regards to that. I definitely will until at least this Friday, because my honors kids aren't done yet. They still have to finish up their year. So until that happens, we're still on formal instruction mode for them. For you guys, I'm just going to be posting lessons that you can do, practices that you can do to prepare yourself for the AP exam. But yeah, I'll be doing live streams up until at least Friday, and then based on interest and everything like that, probably a bit beyond. But we'll see. Okay. All right. It's starting to look like a rover. Yeah. Is today really the last day of school? Yeah, it's the last day of formal instruction. Normally, Fafa, it is a little bit. Hey, it is good to see you, honey. It is. It is usually a little bit later for you guys. We had it scheduled for the 14th, but if you haven't noticed, the grading for this year is really difficult for teachers. Like, it is super complicated for us to enter grades. That's why it's been slow, okay? Because the Department of Education statewide, it's not just Cobb County, statewide has basically said, here are the guidelines for what you can do and what you can't do in terms of kids right now with regards to grading. And it kind of has turned into a logic problem. So, like, your grade can't be lower than it was on March 13th, but it could be higher depending on your participation in online learning. But we can't penalize you for not having done stuff. But so it's really technical in terms of the way we have to go through and do it. So because of that, we really honestly need a couple of days to make sure that we're accurately recording all of our grades, especially for seniors. Like, we do not want to screw you over. So we are being very, very careful. So that's why grades have to be finalized by the 14th. Okay, that's when hey, Sydney. So grades have to be finalized by the 14th. That means that I have to hit send on them. There's no changing after the 14th. But there is the possibility that, I want to make sure that I have all of your grades submitted to me by today, so I can spend the next several days going through and analyzing everything and making sure everything's really good. So what I'm going to do at 5 p.m. is I'm going to send you guys an email and a remind, basically asking for like timeout, basically saying, what I've got now as of 5 p.m. is what I'm going to grade, period, the end. That's it. And any grade questions or concerns you have needs to wait for a little bit while I work through this. Because frankly, if you're like, but you haven't entered this thing that I and that I uploaded at 4:55, give me a minute to get through stuff. I'm going to ask for a couple of days amnesty to just try to work through things. And then once I work through things, I'll send out an email to you guys, probably on the 13th, saying, hey, check your grade one last time. Make sure everything looks good. Okay. And let me know if there are any problems. Do I know when you'll get your magnet stoles? Well, possibly. I possibly do. But we are finalizing some details on that. It will be soon. I don't want to make any promises right now because, depending on what the county says and, whether or not they ship them. See, part of the problem, Fafa, is that your stoles and everything like that come from factories, right? And a lot of factories are shut down right now. Okay. So, like your stoles and your cords and things like that, certificates, all of that sort of stuff, we have to order from third parties. And they may or may not be doing those orders right now. We will eventually get them to you. It just might take a while. The magnet stoles I know have been ordered. They've been ordered. The question is, when are they coming in? And when they come in, what are we going to do with them? We have several ideas about what we're going to do with those. We're working on it. We're pretty sure we're going to be able to get to them by, give us about 2 weeks. And that's kind of when we're thinking about doing stuff with it. But yeah, the big problem for like beta club stoles or honors cords or like your language cords and things like that. So we have to order them from companies that may or may not be functioning right now. So just like roll with it. Yeah. um, we can't make it go any faster than it is. Like it's just, it is what it is. And I'm sure you're sick of that answer. And so are we. It is very frustrating not to be able to say, and here's what we're going to do. But I can't change it. So we just got to kind of deal with it. But I do promise you will get them. You earned them. You'll get them. The question is just like when, right? So here is today's drawing. Today we are working on the Mars Curiosity rover. So, Sydney, how you doing, lady? Thank you, by the way, for doing your... Should you take a language in college? Oh, 100%. I think so. I absolutely think so. Especially if you are already close to fluent or fluent-ish in a language. Being able to say, hey, yeah, I'm fluent or functionally fluent is really, really great in the job market. I'll say, I am grateful every day that I stuck with Spanish. I find it to be incredibly useful in my profession. The number of times I've been able to like help a student or give directions in that's my personal favorite. First day of school, when everybody has that oh my gosh, I'm lost look on their face, being able to help students who maybe don't speak English find their classes is really gratifying. So Fafa, what do you plan on doing in the future, honey? What are you thinking of? I'm doing well, Sydney. Thank you for asking. Environmental engineering, several water in Guinea. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're planning on doing stuff that's international, Fafa, are you already like fluent in another language? I don't like assuming that people are or aren't, but like because I know Guinea has a large French-speaking population, right? I think. Watch me show my ignorance. Your French is spot. I would take French. I mean, if you plan on doing a lot of work in West Africa, then yeah. I mean, that would be my go-to if I were going to do work there. In fact, actually, I've been thinking about my next thought once I finish all of my work grading for you guys and everything like that, and wrapping up the rest of this year. I have a couple of plans for the summer. Plan number one, go ahead and come up with some sort of digital learning plan for next year, just in case this thing stretches out, right? So that's plan number one. Plan number two, in terms of keeping Miss Galloway busy over the summer so she doesn't lose her mind, is going to be maybe learning French. Not entirely sure. I've been working on some Portuguese. My Portuguese is getting slightly better, or at least my reading of it is. I wouldn't want to actually be tested by anybody who knows what they're doing, because that would be horrific. But my Portuguese is at least less terrible than it used to be. So that is a positive. So I am considering maybe starting some French. I don't know. I've got a couple of friends who are native speakers and who I could, once I get some grammar under my belt, so I know sort of what I'm talking about. I have some friends who I could try to kind of chat with and see if I can work on it. Yeah. Yeah, see, the thing is that, Fafa, I kind of think that the more languages you learn, the easier the process of learning languages gets. I have a friend of mine he's a polyglot, and it's really obnoxious. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm finding with Portuguese is that it is helpful for me because I'm already pretty decent with Spanish to be able to sort of, work my way through it. But it's sometimes a little bit troubling because it's so close, it's just close enough to throw me off, right? And when it's just close enough to throw me off, that's when I get into trouble. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. And it is nice when we travel to be able to at least attempt different languages. It's nice not to be the ugly American who doesn't want to learn. Okay. Yeah, I would imagine that in environmental engineering probably doesn't. Well, I don't know, actually. Fafa, where are you planning on going to school? Have you decided? I feel like you have, and I feel like you've told me, and I feel like I've forgotten. Because that is the thing that happens a lot with me right now. UGA, that's right. Yes. Well, I don't remember for science people because I was humanities, but I feel like sort of the general ed requirements. Well, it might give you like an option, like you can either do language or you can do something else. But I would take language. I would just do it. I took some really excellent language courses, but they get better. The best language courses for me were the lit courses or the like when you move out of just like the conversation courses and into like courses where you're actually studying something in the language. So like I took a history of Cuban religions course that was taught in Spanish. I took a comparative literature course that was taught in Spanish, and that was really great. So once you kind of get to that level, like it was, I really enjoyed it. I took a wonderful course on sort of like magical realism in literature, which was fantastic. That I highly recommend. See you later, Kamaya. Oh yeah, 100%. Plus, I highly recommend joining different clubs and everything like that. Like there will be plenty of North Cobb people at at UGA, but and I don't want to say like stop hanging out with North Cobb people. No. Uh I don't want you to think like, hey, don't hang out with North Cobb people, but because you should hang out with whomever you want. But I do think it's a good idea to like meet new people, and through your shared interests is a really good way to do that. See you later, Sydney. I've got to go pretty quickly here as well. Yeah. Usually, Fafa, at the start of every unit, every semester, they do, or the beginning of fall semester at least, they do like a students' activities fair at Tate. Tate is the student union area, and you should go. You should go, and you should also check out like whatever sort of super cheesy things that your RA comes up with. You should go and hang out and meet the other people in your hall, and say yes more than you say no in terms of trying different things. I mean, within safe parameters. Will the AP exams FRQ mirror the ones you've done so far? The AP exam FRQ will, the first question, first of all, did you watch the little session that I did? I linked to it on the blog last week. If you go back to like last week's entries, you'll see it. But if you haven't watched it, I strongly recommend that you watch it, because I kind of walk you through the demo if you haven't done that already. But at any rate, the FRQs will be an argument FRQ, okay, which you have now done, or at least I've assigned several. Okay, you hopefully have done a few of them. But yeah, you'll have an argument FRQ, and then the other one will be a quantitative analysis FRQ. So something with data. So you should be able to do this. Like, I feel really comfortable with the idea of you guys knowing the content. I'm concerned about the procedure. I'm worried about you guys not practicing the demo and learning what to do. But in terms of the actual content, I really feel like this is in your wheelhouse and you ought to do okay. Yeah? I mean, maybe I'm deluding myself, but I feel like, you should know this stuff. But Fafa, I am going to have a study session tomorrow via Zoom at 6 p.m. I will send out an invite if you didn't come to the other Zoom meeting. I'll send it out at about 5 p.m. and you can go. We'll kind of like walk it through. Okay. All right. I'm going to let you go, and I will see you later. Bye.